Hi everyone, my name is Elizabeth Kazadu and I recently did research on social media in the classroom. In this presentation, you will see the rationale behind why I chose this topic, as well as the methods I took in this research. You will see some clips from the interviews and what my findings were all together, as well as a conclusion. So I hope you enjoy. With 90% of students aged 13 to 18 using social media and about 71% having at least one active account, it is time for teachers to engage our students by implementing social media in the classroom. Although 83% of teachers have personal social media accounts, only 31% of them use it in their classrooms. Although there is much research and plenty of example social media uses, teachers are still hesitant to use it in their classroom. As long as we teach our students how to interact positively and appropriately on social media, our students should benefit from the implementation. Social media has played a large role in my life growing up and still does now. I engage in 5 different social media accounts as ways to communicate with friends and family, stay up to date on current events, appeal to my interest, and share my thoughts, photos, and accomplishments. My students are just as involved in social media as I am. Recently, during distant learning, teachers have logged onto social media as a way to connect with their students and engage in meaningful learning more than they ever have before. There is much research out there that shares the potential of social media in the classroom and the benefits it has on students. I am an insider to this topic in that I am familiar with social media and have used it myself. However, I am an outsider in that I have not used it as a teacher in my own classroom. I am a tech-savvy teacher who loves to bring new forms of technology in the classroom. However, I do have concerns about monitoring the students using the social media. The following are questions that will drive my research for this project. Starting with my question number 1, what are the statistics of teachers using social media in the classroom? So I wanted to look to see if there was a relationship between grades. So are the elementary school versus middle school versus high school? Or is there a relationship between subject, English and social studies, math and science, your elective classes? Then I wanted to look at in what ways are teachers using social media in the classroom, and then specifically focusing on some of the math classrooms. Question number 3, how can teachers use social media as a platform for showcasing student work or as a way for students to create projects? Question 4, of those social media platforms being used, which are the most engaging, which are safest, which are most accessible, which are age appropriate? Question number 5, what are the connections to social media in teaching digital citizenship and new literacies? And finally, question number 6, how do students feel about using social media in the classroom? What are the parents' opinions and what are the administration opinions? I'm just going to show you some of the research that I found, as well as the articles, the papers, and the journals that I looked for. And then I'm just going to give you a good overview of what that literature meant and how it helped me develop this paper. So starting with this first article, and it's from the American Academy of Child and Adolescent Psychiatry. It was a pretty short article. It was right on the Academy's website, but it gave me a nice overview of social media and teens, how they're using it, your benefits, your consequences of it, and a couple really nice looking statistics. So that was what was included in some of my findings. I used this article. And then there is another great research article from Bolkin, and it's 9 in 10 teachers don't use social media in the classroom. And it was a really nice article because it tells us some of the hesitations of why teachers aren't using the social media in their classroom, what they're lacking, what they need, how they can become more comfortable. So this was a nice article, and this helped me with the acceptance part of my research. Then from Bonk and Koo, was the Tech Variety textbook. I don't have a link to it, but this textbook gave some great suggestions of how social media can be used in the classroom and how it meets the tech variety. Bonk and Koo are focusing on online learning, but this works for a blended classroom, it works for an online classroom, it works in a traditional classroom. They're just giving great suggestions of how we can use social media in the classroom. I mentioned how in my article about how we can use Skype in the classroom, and that was thanks to Bonk and Koo. Then Gallagher and Majid gave a great guide to social media. This was a very long paper, and it's just showing how to use social media effectively. So this paper was very nice. It talked about the appropriate use, how to protect privacy, how to interact with students. It was really nice in setting up some guidelines. And it also gives a great section about how to teach social media safety, privacy, security, and digital literacy, which all relates to my connection section of my paper and answers one of those research questions. Then I found a lot of information from this EdTech review article from Gupta, some interesting statistics and facts on social media and education you must know. So this article was very nice in that it gave me so many statistics to use, as well as a couple comments and ideas, and it takes a bunch of studies about social media and kind of simplifies them and summarizes them. So I really appreciated this. This infographic that Gupta posts was super nice in that it has so many nice graphics, so many statistics, and that was used a lot in my paper. So looking at my paper, you would see the citation from Gupta quite a bit. Then looking at from Internet Matters, when researching a couple of the specific social media platforms, I looked a lot at TikTok because TikTok's newer. I'm not too familiar with it. And this website gave me great information about TikTok's privacy settings, how they are managing it, how you as a parent or a teacher or an adult can help monitor a student using it or a child using it. So it was very great information about what restrictions there are, how you can help filter the content, and some step-by-step instructions. So that was also included in my uses section and looking at the accessibility and the age appropriateness and the safest of our social media platforms. Then Marcinek gives a great article from Edutopia, The Importance of Digital Citizenship in Social Media. So this article helped me look at ways to incorporate digital citizenship using social media in the classroom. So some great suggestions and what to do, how to help introduce it. And this was used in my connections part of my research paper. Then Vega and Rob created this large report, 54 pages, as you can see. And this just provided so much information about the 21st century classroom. Besides so much on using social media in the classroom, this book, I should say, is great. It talks about the digital citizenship. It talks about using technology in the classroom. It talks about social media in the classroom. It's really nice. It gives great statistics. I use a lot of these statistics in here. And it was a very eye-opening article that was used a lot throughout my research. And then the last thing I want to cite is from Wenzel and Carano. It's a research summary of social media for the middle level classroom. So although it was middle school, it was nice in that I could use a lot of it and relate a lot of it to the high school level, which is what I'm at. But it provided great research. It gave us different things to look at, the benefits, the challenges to using social media in the classroom. It helped me with my connections section and how to monitor and make sure everyone's being safe on social media, as well as teaching that digital citizenship, classroom strategies for the inclusion of social media and learning. This was a really great article. and provided a lot of information for my paper. So besides these, I also reached out to a couple of teachers that I know and talked to them just more casually. I also interviewed my 2 friends who are math teachers at various public schools, Richard Ball and Kristen Suppresso. And these interviews gave me a lot of great information in terms of answering my research questions and getting firsthand experiences from teachers who use social media in their classroom. Here are some statistics regarding social media use. First, regarding students, 90% of students aged 13 to 18 have used social media before, with 71% having at least one active social media account. 59% have talked about educational topics on social media, and 50% of those conversations were directly about homework or schoolwork. In terms of the teachers, 83% of teachers have used social media for personal reasons. 31% of teachers use it in their classroom. 77% find digital tools helpful, but 87% find sites like YouTube a big distraction in the classroom. Now, a statistic about schools. 69% ban cell phone use during the day. Now, in terms of social media use in classrooms, foreign language classes use social media the most, and social media is used more in fine arts, ELA, and history courses compared to math and science. You said some of your other teachers also have Instagram accounts. Do you notice that it's a specific grade or a specific subject that you see more the social media uses?
Definitely English. Like one of my mentor, he uses it to push. He does like an AP Lang and AP research and all that. So anytime he finds something that the students may be using in the research projects or for the AP's exams to help them study, like he'll push it out to them via Twitter or OneNote. But so he and like a lot of the English teachers that use Instagram, I find for student things a lot, like probably at least half the English department, I would say. And then Twitter, to push out articles or findings or research for the students. Math, I'm the only one in the math department. Science department, no, not really. So I'll say mostly English because I feel like they have that foundational base of like finding articles, and it's just an easy way to share the articles instead of, saving the article, printing the article, making many copies when we're limited on paper and stuff too.
So statistic number 5 gives some social media use more statistics regarding the grade levels. So 8% of K through 2 teachers use it, 7% of 3 through 5 teachers use it, 14% of 6 through 8 teachers use it, and 21% of 9 through 12 teachers use it. So it's more likely to be found in the adolescent grade levels as opposed to the elementary grade levels.
As for grade level, I would definitely say I wouldn't have elementary school kids doing that. In terms of middle school, I don't know. Personally, I don't think I would start until 8th grade at the earliest. I don't think I would have anything younger than 8th grade doing it. And that's just out of like respect for parents who don't necessarily want their kids on social media before they're, a teenager.
Here are a couple statistics regarding some of the hesitations to using social media in the classroom. 62% of teachers have had minimal or no training. 82% are worried about conflicts that might arise between students or parents. 20% of teachers feel intimidated by their students' knowledge of technology. And 48% would like more training on new technology, specifically social media. So looking at some of the most common social media platforms from teachers who use it in their classrooms, these are the top 5 that are most widely used: Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, and Skype. I'm going to go through each of these and talk about different ways that you can use each of the following platforms in your classroom. So Facebook, the biggest use of Facebook is to create a class page. And you're posting updates, reminders, assignments, pictures. It's a great way to interact with both students and parents. It provides teachers extended office hours. It provides a way of communication between students and teachers as well as parents and teachers. Also, Facebook can be a way for students to do an assignment or a project. You can have students create a profile for a famous mathematician, a main character in a novel, a scientist, any important person, and create their own profile through Facebook. Instagram is also widely used. Another common way to use Instagram is, again, creating a class page to post reminders, updates, assignments, reviews, etc. And it's also a great way to showcase student work through that might have been done in an art class. Have students create a digital portfolio by posting all of their work on Instagram. A great way to give feedback, peer reviewing through Instagram, etc. Sure. Okay. So you mentioned how you have an Instagram for your class account. So how are you using that Instagram account in the classroom?
So I didn't really start using it until we went online, but what I do with my Instagram account is I do a couple different postings a day, so I'm kind of spamming the feed. But I'll have usually one sample problem of whatever we're learning that day where I've completely worked through it and shown all of the steps, like not leaving out any small steps. And then next to that problem, I'll have step-by-step directions of what I actually did. So step one is, maybe factor out a GCF or something like that. So they can not only read the directions in words, but also see it in an example problem. Obviously, when they log into Google Classroom, they'll be able to see a full packet of notes with many problems, but this is just a little snippet on Instagram to kind of get a preview of what we're doing for that day, or to use as like a cheat sheet if you want it all in just one condensed space. So that's one thing I'll post. Then I'll post any upcoming due dates or deadlines or something. So if I had a project that they've been working on for a week, I'll say reminders every day, it's due Friday, don't forget, last chance to turn it in. Or I'll say unit test coming up this week or quiz coming up this week and those dates. Just to serve as a reminder of that as well. And then I sometimes just post math memes that I think are funny, and I don't know if they understand them or if they think they're funny, but those are more for me.
Twitter is also used quite a bit in all classes. It can again be used as a class page, but also can be used for students when they want to have short discussions and debates, when you want students to summarize units and lessons because of the maximum number of characters they can use in a tweet. You can have them find current events and also be used as exit tickets.
I do, it's limited because my school has like no cell phone service reception anywhere. But like I use Twitter a lot, like for exit tickets. I'll be like, okay, guys, go on Twitter and tweet me the answer to the exit ticket, or they take a picture of it, upload it, tweet it to me. I also use it for like build rapport with students.
TikTok is also one of the newer social media platforms, but it's used quite a bit in the classrooms. First, it could be used to build rapport with students, get students connected, show them something meaningful. They're all really familiar with TikTok. And also it can be a great app to use to have students create authentic student projects. So there's a lot of really cool editing and video features on there. Also, Skype is widely used, and it's a great way to have students interview experts and professionals in a certain field, and great to interact with people or students from around the world. So one of the big things with social media is making sure it's appropriate and making sure you're teaching them about digital citizenship. So what are ways that you would recommend, like ensuring that the students are being appropriate online or following our digital citizenship guidelines?
So making sure that they're appropriate, obviously Tapestry is big about setting norms, and I'm sure a lot of schools are big on setting norms now as well. So we would set norms before we even went online, before I even gave them the opportunity to go online, so that they know what is expected of them and how they should behave. And for the most part, with online kinds of discussions or anything like that you're going to have going on, it's going to have the same norms that they would have if they were in school having that discussion in person, which is, appropriate language. We don't want swearing or cursing or anything like that. Use it being kind to each other, not calling someone an idiot because you disagree with their opinion, but instead being able to say something like, I see where you're coming from, I respectfully disagree, here's my point of view. So like I said, the same kind of norms that they would see in school with that, but it's important to make sure that you set those up before you do allow students to go online. So that's making sure they use social media appropriately in terms of digital citizenship and that kind of thing. Teaching them, about the internet, using credible sources. If you're doing a research problem and you're trying to defend your point in an online argument or something, making sure you're using a source that's maybe like a study that a college did and not something that you found on Wikipedia or someone's personal blog, teaching them what it means to be a credible source, and using those credible sources, as well as, fact checking when things pop up. Again, that will help. If you have a reliable source, then normally the facts that you're going to be reading are going to be true. And then just other proper online etiquette that they should have, limiting their comments, making sure their comments are respectful, and that kind of things.
When it comes to acceptance of social media in the classroom, there are three major stakeholders. The first are the students. Now, most students are very accepting of social media in the classroom. Turns out that they're more engaged when they use social media in the classroom. They enjoy using technology they are familiar with. As you saw before, stats show that students are very familiar and use social media quite often, so they will enjoy using it. And according to a study, there was a 50% increase in grades when teachers incorporate social media in the classroom. Next are parents. Now, parents enjoy social media because they're as happy for the increase in communication between the teachers and the parents. There's also a transparency among what's going on in the classroom, what the student expectations are, what the students' assignments are, and what's going on in the school. But one important piece is to make sure you get parent approval first, especially with younger grades, because many parents might not want students being involved in social media, so it's important to get their approval first. Lastly, administration. Most administration are accepting of new technology uses. Administration should encourage that teachers teach digital citizenship while using the social media in the classroom. And lastly, administration should promote professional development on social media use. Social media in the classroom has many benefits for both the teachers and the students. Although statistics show so many teachers and students are familiar and active on social media, not many teachers are taking advantage of this new form of literacy. Research shows that students are more engaged using technology they are familiar with, as well as showcasing creativity and taking part in activities that are different from the traditional lessons. Teachers are willing to try social media in their classroom, but they must first receive the support and training on how to appropriately implement it. Although social media use is more common in English classrooms, math teachers have a variety of ways to incorporate it into their own lessons. Hesitations from parents will most likely be resolved if teachers are specific with how social media will be used and how digital citizenship will be modeled and taught to the students. Due to this research, a future study may include using social media in my own classroom. I would like to try out all these suggestions and best practices in my own math classroom. I would like to look at what the data shows in terms of attendance, homework completion, test scores, and engagement. I also would like to get more research about how social media use in the classroom affects students with disabilities, ESL students, gifted students, and our low-income students. I would hope to find the benefits of using social media based off my own experience in using it. Thank you for watching my presentation, and I hope you enjoyed it.